Did you know something as small as where you sit at a table and playing blackjack can increase your odds of winning if you card count? If usually players have a 41.66% chance of winning each hand, but when you card counting, if you sit at if you're the last player on the table, it increases by 0.024% when you're playing blackjack. I have quite a bit of experience with card counting, and hoping from this you will learn how to card count and play blackjack and why you probably shouldn't do it, to be honest, and the effects it can have. To know the basics of blackjack, your goal is your two cards to be higher, your cards that all add up to be higher than the dealer's card without going over 21. 21 is, well, blackjack's the highest hand you can have, which would be an ace and 10. So basically, a 2 through 9 would just be equal whatever the number is, and a jack, queen, and king are all worth 10 points. So it doesn't matter. They're all worth the same. So for example here, I'll pretend that I'm dealing. We'll say there's just one player playing, and I'm the dealer. So I would deal to them, and then deal to myself, and then deal to them again, and then I would use this card to flip. Kind of hard to do without a felt, but flip that over. So then I would be showing a 10, and the dealer only has one card showing, and then he would give you both your cards. So once you see your cards, you can either choose to do, there's a few things you can do. You can either stand, which means you'll just keep your cards. You think you have a good hand, you think you can beat the dealer's hand. Or you can hit, which means you get another card, and if it makes you go over 21, then you would bust and automatically lose your bet. And then you can also double down, which means the amount of chips that you have, you place that amount behind it, and then you'd only get one card. You wouldn't have an option to do anything after that, and you'd be stuck with your card no matter what. And then after you're done with your hand, whatever you decide to do, if you hit, by the way, and you still want to hit again, if you have a low hand that you don't think can beat the dealers, you can still decide to hit as many times as you want, as long as you haven't doubled down. And then once you're done, the player's done, then the dealer shows his face card. And now the dealer can't, the dealer has to stand once the dealer has 17 or over. So right now the dealer, a king and a 5 would be at 15. So the dealer would have to hit again, and then it would bring them over to 24. So then they would go over, and you would win. But if this is a blackjack beats all hands in the game, so if a player has blackjack, then they would automatically get paid 3-2, which basically means, like, let's say that they have one chip, they were betting one chip, and they got blackjack. Let's say a chip is like $10, we'll say, red chip, and then we'll say white would be $5. Then the dealer would pay them another red and then a white on the side of that, because they're betting a half is what they would win. And so that's the basics of blackjack. There's also one more thing you can do, which I'll show you real quick. Like for yourself. Say you have two aces like this, or you can choose to split. So basically, you bet this, you have two, the dealer gives you your two cards, and then we'll just set it up like normal, basically like that and that. The dealer's their cards. So you can, if you choose to split, you basically put another chip to the side, he moves the cards over, and then he would give you a card here, then a card here, and then after that you can choose to either stand, double down, or hit. Basically, you play them like normal, basically as two separate hands. So it's basically just like playing two hands at the same time. Doesn't really change much, but the ace is the best card in the game. Pretty much, it's like it can either be 1 or 11. So it's you can really do pretty much like for example, let's say you had an ace and a 5, then you'd be at like 6 or 16. And then, I mean, it's, unless you're, pretty much you never want to stand on anything under 17 because the dealer has to have at least 17. So, and with an ace, you can't bust if you go over 21 the first time. So if you're at 16, then you said, and then you could either double down or hit depending on if the dealer has a good showing card or not. Say that you hit and then the dealer gave you a 6, that puts you over to 22, but since you have an ace, it would just be counted as 1, then it'd bring you down to 12. Then you can choose to hit off of that, stand, or whatever based on what you want to do and what decision you think is best. But so that's basically that. But card counting is, the way card counting can help you is basically, so there's a lot of different ways of card counting, but the one that I practice using, the one that I think is probably the most efficient and one of the easiest to learn. It can get a bit complicated, but if you practice, it's pretty easy to learn it. So basically, each 2 through 6 would just think of as 1 in your head, and any 10s or an ace just think as -1, or so for each one, and then 7, 8, or 9 is just basically you just don't count that. So I'll do an example here. So that, and then flip it over. So then basically right now the count would be 0 because there's an 8 and a 9 showing. Okay, so there's an ace. So you would count, so in your head you would count that as just -1 or D1 for short. It's really good to make those, like, it might seem small between like D1 or -1, but when you're in like a setting like a casino where people are talking, it can get distracting. The dealer is dealing pretty fast. You want to just try to be as efficient and fast as you can, so you don't lose track of your count, or you can keep up with everything as everything's going on. And yeah, so like let's say there was the dealer, we'll see the king, but I'm just gonna pretend there was a 6 under there. Then you would count that as, +1. So -1 +1, you just call it 0. So basically, whenever the count's high, a lot of higher cards are coming out. So that's where you want to increase your bet based on how high the count is. But yeah, and then there's, basic strategy is, I have a sheet here, it's kind of blurry, it didn't print well, but it's basically every move you should make based on what the dealer's showing and what hand you have, basically. And then there's another thing called deviation strategy, which based on what the dealer has and what you have, and then where it changes is based on what the count is. Whatever, how high or how low the count is would tell you what you want to hit and stand, which would be different from basic strategy in some situations. But so that's pretty much how to card count. There's some other things that are a bit confusing, but that's basically all you really need to know to get started until you have that stuff practiced and you have that down. Then once you get all of that and you know how to do that, then you can get into more complicated things. But the benefits of card counting are, well, you can make a lot of money if you have people who know what they're doing and you have enough money to be able to take luck out of the equation and just have enough money and enough people who know enough decisions to do that. But there are many negative effects which, if you don't have enough money, you could lose a lot, and it could really, like, this is why I said card counting is probably, like, it can be fun and can really, like, get you excited and stuff and be really fun if you have friends to do it with and you make a lot of money. But if you make, like, a small mistake, it can be the matter between winning or losing, like, even tens of thousands of dollars, depending on how much money. And if you don't have enough money to bring to the casino in the first place, you don't have enough money to get you through that losing streak and to get to that winning streak, then you're just gonna end up losing a lot of money in the long run, and it can really increase stress, anxiety, and depression, and you can really, like, ruin friendships because if you miscount something, or you could get mad at, like, the person you're counting with, and they make the wrong decision and it can lose you a lot of money. But it's, I don't know, I really enjoy it. I've had quite a bit of fun learning it, and I really think it'd be fun to see, how I do in a casino setting, but it's probably not something that I would really, like, do a lot of and, bet a lot of money, because, like, it's still gambling. You still can lose a lot of money. It's not really a good way to make a living. Some people do make a living off of it, but that pretty much is, what, there's a lot of negative side effects. So honestly, I think that it's probably not worth it to do, but that's how you card count, how to play blackjack, and really how to make money off of it if you were to do it. But yeah, thank you for listening.